Morning, Merry Christmas. It is really early. It's 5:45 in the morning, and dogs have had breakfast, baby's back to sleep, and I am going to start my 6-day star crochet blanket. And I'm going to do this vlog style, so probably next time I record, the Christmas tree will be put away for the season. But I am going to start the pattern and do a little vlog about it. So I am It says use a smaller hook. I'm not using a smaller hook. I'm living dangerously here. I've got my hand spun yarn, and it was in a different project, which is why it's all crinkly. But one thing I love about crocheting hand spun yarn is like all of this thick and thin just becomes texture in the stitches, and it's so nice. So anyway, so I'm going to start this project, talk for a minute, and then I will come back on and do little updates as I go. So I'm reading the directions here. I have had to learn in the last couple of years how to read directions on crochet patterns. I learned how to crochet mostly using Crochet Fantasy magazine. Some of you OGs out there, you might know which magazine I'm talking about. I actually have a couple in my stash that I saved. I should pull those out at some point and pick something from them. But I learned how to crochet using those magazines because it was early 2000s. There was no YouTube or, in the internet. Like I didn't even think to look on the internet for tutorials at that point. It was all books and magazines, and I don't even think there was anything on PBS to really show me. Someone showed me the basics, like how to chain, how to double crochet, and I taught myself the rest after that. So let's see. So I've done my chain 4 slip stitch. I've got the ring. And then it says chain 3, 1. It's a free pattern, so if I'm giving out details, I'm not giving out any secret sauce here. All right, and then I always, when I am joining in the round and doing one of these little magic circles, is I always try to catch the tail, and it kind of like tucks it in a little bit. So I will crochet around the tail and the chain. Sure, I'm not doing justice showing that. And so anyway, so I have been crocheting for 25 years. So since I was, give away my age here, I was 11 when I learned how to crochet. So I've been doing it for a while. I enjoy it. I go through phases where I do it a lot, and then other phases where like I won't touch it for a long time. I originally primarily crocheted, and then I tried to crochet myself a sweater for Crochet Fantasy magazine, and everything about it was just wrong. It was definitely, people talk about being either a process stitcher or a product stitcher. I feel like it was kind of like a process stitch where I liked the idea of making a garment, and then I went to the store and picked out yarn. Didn't know anything about yarn. Like I literally picked up Red Heart acrylic super saver yarn. It was like a little lavender color, and I don't wear lavender typically. Like I'm not a lavender person. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I crocheted this garment, and I had no idea about gauge. I was probably 13 or 14 at the time. And then literally the sweater could have stood up on its own. It was so stiff, and I mean, it looked nice. It was fun to make, but and then it was also in a style that I would never wear. Like I had nothing to wear it with either, so I was so disappointed. I should try to find a picture. If I can, I'll try to and if I learn how to insert pictures, I'll try to insert a picture of the sweater I'm talking about. But basically, it was like double crochet or single crochet for like the yoke and the sleeves, and then it had like this lace crochet around the front was like open, and I'm like, I don't even know like what I would wear that with. And so it was just a disaster. And I was so disappointed. I think I goodwilled it. And then I stopped crocheting for a long time at that point. And I switched more to cross stitch and did a lot of cross stitch for a couple years. Did a lot of full coverage cross stitch, started collecting full coverage cross stitch kits, and that was what I primarily worked on. And then I think I was maybe 18, 19, and I was like looking at sweaters I had bought from JCPenney, and I was like, I could make this. Like that's the thought process. I was looking at the sweater, I'm like, I could make this. And so I at that point, YouTube had a lot of tutorials. So I went on YouTube with some yarn and just sat down and taught myself how to knit. Good morning. I thought I would do a quick day 2 update for my 6-day star blanket. I have finished the setup rounds, and have started working on some of the main rounds. I'm worried that it looks a little ruffly. When I lay it flat on the floor, it looks fine, but my yarn's a little bulky in this spot, so I think that's why it's doing it. But the yarn that I've skeined up to go after this one looks a little bit lighter weight, so I think it'll be fine. Anyway, I'm having fun with this. I am finding that I'm having to pay a little bit of attention to it when I count my stitches between the star points. I think that'll be less important as the blanket gets bigger, but get the extra straight out of the way. Here's what it looks like so far. So a lot of fun, and I'm assuming at some point it'll be a mindless crochet project. And so I promise not to do a daily update every day for it, because that would get kind of awkward. It'd be like the Star Trek, like Captain's Log, day 700 of this project. I promise not to do that. But I thought since I finished the initial rounds, I would show it. So this yarn, I believe it's hand spun. Well, it's hand spun from, I think, Nest Fiber, one of her advent calendars. And I have this skein with like the warmer autumnal colors, and then I have a different one with like the cool tones, which will go on a different blanket. This yarn is hand spun from, I want to say Spun Right Round, and kind of the colors kind of match. So I'm going to do this one next, and then I will go to this one, which I think is created by LCB. This one feels like it has some silk, so it's probably a merino silk. Similar colors, but it doesn't have the same long repeats. So this one will have more color blocking. And then from there, I'm going to go to this crazy one. And this is Hedgehog Fibers. The middle is with just a braid from one of their mystery grab bag clubs. And then the outside was fiber that looked similar from their advent calendar in 2024. So I'm going to start from the outside of this skein and then work my way in. And then by the time I get to that, the blanket will be bigger. So like this bright green shouldn't be as big of a color section. And then we'll see how big the blanket is at this point. But I'll probably do a solid gray and then just keep going with some of my other scrappy skeins. So anyway, so that is the day 2 update for my blanket. So here is our day 8 update on the 6-day blanket. So here's what I have so far. Probably got to about here on day 6. It's just probably 6 days worth of work though, although I have been cross stitching and doing some other things. But here's how it's stitching up so far. The middle is definitely bulkier. My yarn that I spun for this was definitely a lot thicker. And then these other braids have been finer. I found that once I got to about here, I was able to memorize the pattern and didn't need to look at the directions anymore. And then I made an executive decision when I got to this section, and I started doing more of the granny stripes instead of just doing 2 rows and going back to double crochet. And that just made it easier because I could read my book and crochet at the same time. And then as I got closer to the end of this this particular ball of yarn, I did some of the double crochet. And then I'm going to be moving into this Hedgehog Fibers hand spun next. And this will have a section of pink and then a bigger section of green. But then I'm thinking by that point of the star, it shouldn't be a super big band of green, although we'll see. And then from there, I'll move into some grays. And I think be getting pretty close to the size I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that can go from my chin to my toes. So I'm thinking by that point, it'll be a lot bigger. It's about a yard across now. Right. I have a finished blanket to share and talk about today. So I knit the 6-day start blanket in 21 days, which honestly, to have an entire lap size blanket done in about 3 weeks is actually pretty good, especially considering that I probably started to lose steam on it, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, and I just kind of kept going through. And see if I can open up the whole thing to show you what it looks like. But that's perfect lap size blanket. I'm thinking when I'm sitting out on the deck and it's chilly in the morning or the evenings, this will be like the perfect thing to grab. And because it's all hand spun, the stitch definition has some texture to it. The colors are variable. I'm really loving these neon pastels. Who would have thought? But I used hedgehog fibers for this neon pastel part, and then these other ones are just ones from my stash, from advent calendars, from all kinds of different things that I've spun. I can just tell how much my skill as a spinner changed over the course of this project. Like the middle of this blanket, you can just see how thick and thin and squishy it is, and then some of these more recent yarns definitely are more consistent, but you know, in the scheme of a big blanket, it doesn't really matter. I do think I am going to try and maybe lightly block it because it doesn't lay totally flat, although I think with use and being stretched out, I think that will change over time, or even maybe just draping it over the edge of my couch will help to change that. But anyway, that is the 6-day blanket, and now that this is done, I can pull back out some of my knitting and some of the other things that I haven't worked on since Christmas when I started this. And but I think I kind of want to keep a hand spun project on my needles or on my hooks this year, and I think I want to keep working on some kind of crochet project too. I think I'm going to do a little project bag, and that'll be my next little vlog style video. Thank you so much for watching my little vlog series on making this blanket.